While informative websites like Wikipedia, Encyclopedia, Scholaropedia have made the information easily available online, search engines like Google and Yahoo have made the process of finding information as easy as snap of fingers. We all know that with a click of mouse, just about any piece of information can be unearthed within a matter of seconds. Every day Google answers about 5.6 billion queries from around the globe, that is 63k queries a second. Most of the time Google even reads your mind and suggests what you were trying to find. Though this ease of acquiring information has improved our life in so many ways, it is also changing how our brain works and processes the information. Today we are going to talk on 4 ways in which Google affects your memory and brain. Is our reliance on Google making it harder for us to remember information? Scientists and psychologists have pondered over this question ever since search engines had taken the place of libraries. To find out Google's effect on memory, scientists named Betsy Sparrow, Jenny Liu, and Daniel M. Wender conducted an experiment. All the participants of the experiment were split into two groups. In the first phase, a number of trivia questions were given to both groups. One group was able to use Google to find answers, while other had to rely on memory alone. In the second phase, simpler questions were posed to both groups and they were allowed to use their phones if they wished. Those who were allowed to Google answers initially were more likely to rely on search engines to answer subsequent questions. They didn't attempt to answer any questions from memory, even a simple one. In contrast, those who relied on their memory were more likely to think about the question before reaching for their smartphones. Memory-reliant participants were also quicker at answering trivia questions overall. Here we can see the first effect. When the information becomes easily available online, we start relying on it heavily than to rely on our memory. In the third phase of experiment, subjects were asked to read 40 trivia statements, like an ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain, and type them into a computer. Half the participants were told that the statements would be saved and they would be able to access them later, while the other half were told that computer would erase their statement. After completing the reading and typing task, participants had to write down as many statements as they could remember. The ones who were led to believe that they would be able to access the statements later on remembered significantly fewer pieces of trivia. This leads to the second effect. People do not tend to remember information if they believe it will be available to look up later. But if they believe it won't be available, they can remember the information better. In the fourth and final phase, one-third of participants were told the statements they read and type would be erased, one-third were told their entries would be saved, and one-third were told that their entries would be saved into a specific folder with a generic name like facts, data, or information. Afterwards, the psychologist showed subjects all the statements, some of which had been slightly altered, and the participants had to guess whether or not the statements had been edited. The participant performed best if they believed the statements had been erased, and worst if they were told that the statements were saved into a specific location they could access easily. When everyone was told that the statements they read would be saved into a specific folder with a name like facts, psychologists determined that they were able to remember the folders where the statements have been stored even better than the trivia itself. This leads to the third effect. If the information is saved, people are much more likely to remember the location of the information than to recall the information itself. In addition, people tend to remember either the fact or the location but not both. This effect persists even when the information is more memorable than the name of location. A fourth effect has also been described in which information learned through internet is recalled less accurately and with less confidence than the information learned via books. After this experiment, the scientists named this tendency to forget information that can be found readily online by using internet as the Google effect. Later, Kaspersky Lab performed an experiment and found out the Google effect likely extends beyond online facts to include important personal information as well. Kaspersky Lab surveyed 1,000 consumers ranged from age 16 to 55 plus in the United States. In most cases, people could not remember important information, such as telephone numbers that they should have been familiar with. 91% of people use the internet and 44% use their smartphones to remember critical information. The Kaspersky lab named this phenomena as digital amnesia. All the results from both experiments present a picture which looks grim. But is the effect of Google and internet really bad for your brain, or is it not? We will get into the good versus bad debate in the second episode of this series. If you are watching this video on Facebook, then like and follow our page, and if you are watching this on YouTube, then subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon.